We are live. What's up, everyone, to another episode of Gino Thanks. And I had to bring back Albert J.
What's poppin', y'all?
What's up?
It's good to be back with you, Gino. Making this a weekly thing.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. You like, is this gonna be like a new show where you change the name? Like,
keep it the same name. Just
all right, I got you. But yeah, no, like literally after we recorded the last week, there was a bunch of news that came out the next day, and I was like, damn, we should be doing something now. Like, I feel like now, yeah, but I don't know. Like, what's the weirdest, or what's the biggest news that you heard this week?
Me being a fan of like Charlemagne the God and Andrew Schultz and their podcast, The Brilliant Idiots, and being a huge fan of Joe Budden, I was really taken back by their disagreement and everything. I think it was a kind of a needed thing because I think they're both fighting for the same thing, and they just got different methods of doing it. And
but who's so you think Charlemagne was wrong for that though?
I do think I believe, Joe, to some extent that there was some sort of a smear campaign put against him, but I think it was more so in a business sense, and it leaked into his social accountability and probably liking. And, you know, people in that position have a lot of ego and everything, and that shit stabs a lot of times, especially if it fucks up their money or their opportunities. I think I think both of them are right about each other. I think that when it comes to Charlemagne the God and him getting his new network, which congratulations to him, because that's going to put on a lot of people. It's going to put on a lot of black people and everything. But he did partner with people that are, you know, historically known to, you know, keep back people of color and stuff. They're not letting them into the CEO rooms and stuff. They kind of give people pennies on the dollar that they earn them. And I think Joe Budden, you know, he didn't make that claim of he, you know, asked for $250 million. That's kind of lucrative and crazy. It was more so just give me what I'm worth. You're not going to pay me pennies on the dollar. If I'm making you, you know, $2 billion and you pay me $60 million, what does that make me look like and stuff?
Wait, so I don't get it. He didn't really ask for $250 million?
No, he didn't.
So what did he ask for? They didn't say what he actually asked for?
They didn't say what he actually asked for. It's speculated he asked for $100 million. So like he asked for that based off of being the number one podcast for all of 2019. So if you count up all the streams on the entire platform of all of Spotify, he was the number one podcast on that platform for the entire year of 2019. And that's where he's getting kind of his shit from. Like, because from all accounts, as far as stocks and the popularity and all the different, you know, sites and streaming sites that are coming out, Spotify is kind of, you know, under attack. They're kind of on fire right now, and they stand to lose a lot of things. That's why they're doing a lot of these huge deals, like with Joe Rogan and all that stuff, and you know, trying to, you know, get these household names in order to keep their platform afloat. And I think both, you know, the Brilliant Idiots and Andrew Schultz is the fucking man. I love that guy. That he's so fucking funny.
But I'm saying, like, did you actually follow Charlemagne the guy before that, or did you follow Andrew Schultz? Or which one did you follow first?
I followed both of them. I've been listening to both of them. I've been listening to Charlemagne since 2013, and I've been listening to Andrew Schultz since 2016.
I didn't even know he was a podcaster until just recently. His stand-up shows up sometimes on my
Facebook. Like and I've been listening to his stand-up for a while. Like, I actually got introduced to Andrew Schultz. He used to be on Guy Code, you know, when back on that MTV show. Like, he used to be one of those, like, you know, pop-up like monologuers with just saying some wild ass shit and everything. So
yeah, I didn't realize that.
No, like he's been around for a minute, but his podcast with Charlemagne, The Brilliant Idiots, is where he's getting off most of his shit, I feel like. And then his secondary podcast on top of that, Flagrant too. But aside from all that, I think it's two different people are trying to get the same type of thing in different methods. And I think when you have people like Charlamagne the God and Andrew Schultz, who are very comedic and like, you know, just more concerned about their delivery and how the shock value of how it can come off and getting those laughs and stuff, excuse me. It gets lost, like some of the truth and logic gets lost in some of it as well. They claim
I feel like Charlamagne, like, kind of like, I don't know. He's a lot nicer now, and he needed to join this so that Andrew could like say some of the crazier shit.
Right, of course. Like, actually, you know, you make a good point. I never did look at that because Charlamagne used to say some really wild ass shit.
Until it started getting all over the blogs and stuff.
Right, exactly. So they started really. That's a great point. You know, like I never really thought of the Brilliant Idiots like that because, like, I knew that they were friends and everything, but I didn't think that Charlamagne would benefit from Andrew Schultz's flagrancy like he would like that because he used to say such crazy shit that now he can kind of take the back seat and be the good cop in the good cop, bad cop relationship. That's their podcast and everything. So,
yeah,
like,
no, I mean, you remember when, like, because wasn't he fighting with like Angela Yee or something?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
it was.
She was just like, if you want to talk some like shit, just go on that show and do it. We'll just keep this about radio, or you know, I don't know. That's how I'm just speculating too, though. I have no idea.
I mean, that's a good point though, and you know, I talked about it very briefly last podcast, or for multiple cop podcasts now. Like Joe Budden has always been about the creators, the content creators, the content curators, the podcasters, the music people. People should get paid what they, you know, are worth and what they're making these like larger companies. They should get more than just like fractions of a penny on the dollar for the work and stuff that they're putting in.
But so basically, you know, Charlamagne says that, or I mean, I guess the Brilliant Idiots, both of them, and the Indian guy, I forget his name, but they all said that Joe Budden was bad at doing business, but Joe Budden was basically saying they were bad at, or I guess Charlamagne anyway. But who do you think is who's the better and who's the worst?
I said it before. I think they're both right about each other.
So they're both think that bad. Like, they're both saying.
Like again, it's based off what they're both trying to achieve and what they're both trying to get. Like Joe Budden said a very, very good point that in his podcast, in his response, because he did a pretty lengthy response to all of that. And that Indian guy's name is Akash Singh, by the way. He's funny as shit too.
No, actually, because I remember I watched that Joe Budden. It was like an hour response, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned that he was like, "Oh, you guys can't even get a consistent schedule." And I was, because I started watching it like weekly, and I was like, "Where the fuck is the new episode?" And then I saw this other one. I was like, "Since when is there another one?" And it turns out he's been doing that one longer. I didn't realize that.
That's true. I mean, he's not lying, but again, they're two different entities. Like they're coming from two different directions, and they're trying to get the same thing. And Joe Budden said it very well. Joe Budden is Magneto, and Charlamagne is Professor X, whereas Professor X is more powerful than all the humans that he's trying to work with and maintain peace with. Magneto is more like, fuck you humans, we're better than you. We make all your money. We could run this shit if we wanted to. Why not just take all of our power? And you know, that's very true. You know, you get denied a lot of things when you understand and know your worth. Nobody else gets to make you and set your worth. And I think that's a huge thing in business. And it's going to get you a lot of denying, and it's going to make it probably look like you do bad business, which in a lot of cases, when it comes to if you want to just make that bag, it is bad business. You know, Charlamagne got 50% of this podcast network deal, and they said it's estimating it's going to get him about $40 million and shit.
That's true. But then you think about how, because Joe Budden did also say something like, I didn't hear him talking about he was on the board or anything. And he
Right.
I mean, that's a good point because like you watch the Shark Tank, right?
Right. Yeah.
A lot of times they'll ask for 51% because that extra 1% means that it's actually yours.
They own it.
Yeah, right. He should have pushed for that extra 1%.
That's what I'm saying. And like it's not Charlemagne is not bad for that. He's not wrong for that because he's going to employ a lot of black people. He's going to put a lot of people in the position to win, which is an admirable and good thing. It's just Joe Budden and Charlemagne and Andrew Schultz are all trying to get the same thing through different avenues. They're trying to empower people and trying to get it. And I feel like Joe is going towards the more I understand no and won't accept anything below my worth because of what I've given to this and what the numbers say. He said in his podcast too that he's not mad at Spotify. He's not mad at any of the other people. Everybody won and got what they wanted because he said they wanted data and Spotify wanted to just see what the waters were with a podcast like that. And they got what they wanted. And the data showed that the podcast was wildly successful. And it generated a pretty decent enough percentage of streams through Spotify that it, made them a lot of money and stuff. So like, whereas like me, like us, like as regular people, right? We're looking at this from the perspective of if somebody offers you $60 million, which is what Spotify offered Joe. They offered him $60 million for his podcast and all that stuff for another, I think, 5 years.
He didn't want that. He wanted 100.
He wanted at least 100, and he said, and it's based off 60. Right. It's based off of simply the data that they wanted to collect, and they threw it back in their face.
All right. Well, what was Joe Rogan getting paid?
I believe Joe Rogan's is $250 million.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Man, that's fucked up.
Right, but like Joe Rogan deserves that.
You think objectively? Joe Budden?
I think there's two different crowds. I think objectively Joe Rogan has one of the largest, at least the top 5 largest podcast audiences in the entire world. Like his opinions and the people he has on there can shape politics. Like, yeah, he's a very, very powerful podcaster, and he's kind of the father of it. He's been doing it for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's kind of like a disciple of him and like Howard Stern and all that shit. Like, so
yeah, I just don't follow Joe Rogan. Like I follow it. I watch it when it's like a good episode or a good guest on there, but I don't really follow that. I guess I didn't realize he's been doing it for that long. I do.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a long time. Like he's on like his 1400th episode.
Oh,
type shit. So like it's a long list of a lot. He's had Bernie Sanders on there. He's had like presidential candidates and like, Elon Musk and all these types of, like, he deserves that, like objectively. But when you look at that's why Charlemagne is saying he does bad business, because Charlemagne is saying you signed that contract, and now this is what they're going to offer you after you sign that contract. A lot of people sign dumbass contracts in order to kind of just get their feet wet and everything. And then they go back and say, well, I did this. I deserve this now. And then the person who gave them that contract is like, no, you signed the contract. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but this is the same thing that's going on with Jay-Z and Kanye and why they're kind of having a beef and everything. Yeah. But like, I digress. Even still, in the saying, like Joe Budden signed the contract, and this is what Charlemagne is saying. It's like, if you wanted to have that kind of independence, and then your goal was to ultimately own and be a network, because Joe Budden is technically a network according to Joe Budden, and based off of his numbers, he can say that. Then you shouldn't have signed that contract in the first place, and you should have known your worth before you signed that deal with Spotify, where they tried to trap you. And like,
just because they gave you the number, that doesn't necessarily mean they gave you all the details. Like, he could have came back and been like, well, I'm doing it for 60 if I don't have to worry about this and this is taken care of. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So like, and you're right. And that is a part of it. But like, the big picture is, and the whole big frame of it essentially is, if I'm making you $1.5 billion and you offer me 60 million, what are you saying to me as far as what you think I'm worth? And it sets a precedent for that type of business to keep going, where artists and like we continue to hear about it constantly, from music to, you know, movies to now even in podcasts and things like that. You know, a few years ago we were talking about how like Lil Wayne generated billions of dollars for Cash Money, and he didn't even have over $100 million at certain points. Like, there are people who are suppressing the actual creators and the curators and stuff. And I think the more that these numbers start to come out and the more that this data is known, which is what Joe Budden was trying to do, I think it kind of exposes and puts a big spotlight on what actually, you know, these artists are getting paid. Because if they're getting paid, you know, a fraction of a cent on the dollar for the stuff that they're creating, like, who's making all this money? You know, who's really profiting off of this stuff? How much is a stream, and who's actually making money off of the streams? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a very, very interesting thing to look at.
I want Spotify to win because I record this podcast through Anchor, which is owned by Spotify. So
sure. I mean, I want everybody to be successful, but also exactly. Spotify, I'm looking dead ass at you. I want you to pay your artists and the people who create content for your platform to exist what they're allowed to get paid. I'm tired of maybe 10 people claiming about 40% of all the revenue that we're generating for you, and while I'm getting paid $100 royalty checks when I'm generating tens of thousands of plays for your platform. So pay artists.
You did kind of like it was a good segue into Jay-Z though, because he kind of did the same thing. Like, how come Joe Budden is the problem actually with Spotify, or should Joe Budden have said, fuck you guys, I'm creating my own Spotify? And that's where, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what Jay-Z did with Tidal, right? That was his music streaming service. Is that even still, is that like a big thing still?
No, Tidal is huge.
Are there Tidal exclusives? That was like the big thing, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of Tidal. Like, Tidal is still big on there. Albert J is on Tidal. Look me up on Tidal, by the way. But not like, yeah, it's you're right. He created his own thing because he got tired of people using his stuff, and he got his own content and put it on there. And he has enough of a following for people to want to be on there. So, like,
and yes, don't you think Joe Budden would too, though? Like, if he started his, so how come? Why did he sign it and not start his own?
I think it was an experiment. I think what it was an experiment to try and expose, not necessarily expose, but to just bring light to the fact that this kind of podcast with this kind of content in this culture is a very, very popular and valuable thing. I think we've been able to see that with things like the Breakfast Club, with all the podcasts that are out right now that are wildly successful, from the NPRs and everything. You know, whether you like him or not, Ben Shapiro's podcast is wildly popular. You got the Joe Rogans, you got like so many different avenues where people are able to, you know, have these platforms and talk. There's so much value in it. And I think that the streaming networks need to start to realize that. And I think more, not even the streaming, because I think the streaming networks do realize it. I think the artists, which I think this is why Joe Budden was so upset, are starting to understand that they're making the streaming networks are like the new record labels. They're making the labels a whole lot of money and paying us crumbs when, you know, I never had nothing. $2 million looks like the world. But if I make you $100 million, what am I really worth to you? You know, like, I think that's been a huge thing in the industry, and I'm glad that there's light being shed on it. And I think, you know, both Charlemagne and Joe Budden are fighting a good fight for the creators. You know, you're giving.
So do you think it was a good idea for Kanye to like release all the info about his contract? Because doesn't that kind of I thought that's like you can't release the contract, otherwise you're violating the contract by doing that, right?
I don't know the contract basis for that of if you release it or not. But
I would assume so. How come no? There aren't a lot of people that are showing their contracts, and I wonder why.
Well, I don't know. Like maybe there aren't a lot of people showing their contracts because they just don't know what the contracts are that they signed, or they let other people handle it and stuff. I think it's awesome that he put all that stuff out there. There are a lot of people looking at these contracts now, and several people are calling for a massive reform on the verbiage of how these contracts are constructed. Like, because this is
That's what
how
I'm
so many people are getting fooled off of just verbiage and semantics and stuff.
They're not really getting fooled because they still sign it. They know that they're not getting what they're worth, and they still sign it. So is that really like why? That's what I'm saying. Can you really blame Spotify? Can you really blame Universal, or is it the people that signed it?
Right. You can't. It's a double-edged sword, man. But I do think if you know better, you should do better. And I think these labels know better. I think they definitely know better. I think they exploit and make money off of the pain of a lot of people. There's a lot of people coming up from nothing, and they are able to dangle, small flashes of, wealth or, brilliance or a different lifestyle in front of these people who make several other people so much money, like help maintain lifestyles just for changing one. Like that's exploitation at its core. And I do think when you have powerful entities like Spotify, like Universal, like Rock Nation, like those things and stuff, you have to do better and you have to know better. I don't think Kanye was wrong. I think, like Kanye is a misguided individual, but he's a lot like Joe Budden in this fight, where he signed something early on and then realized during his tenure that his worth is a whole lot more than what he signed his life to, and started to fight back against that. And
all right.
Go ahead.
Now, let me ask you two questions. Okay. So
Sure.
First of all, let me ask you. So do you think Spotify are good business people?
No.
No. So
I don't think any billion-dollar company. I don't think any billion-dollar companies are good business people.
What about Jay-Z? You think he's a good businessman?
No. I think he's a very self-indulgent business guy. And sure, he's helped a lot of people and everything too. I don't think it is possible for people to become billionaires and not have fucked over somebody or several people. I don't think it's possible. Are you
saying that's why he's not, or because of other reasons?
Do I think who's not?
Jay-Z.
It's because of that. I think like when you're talking about if he made right business decisions to make him a lot of money, sure, he's a great businessman. Ethically, were you a good business guy when you knew better and you should have done better in certain situations at the expense of other people? No, that's not good.
So who do you think is a good business person? Like,
I don't know. I don't know a lot. I don't know enough of them to really, understand it. I know a lot of billionaires. I know of our main, celebrity billionaires and all that stuff. And it's very, very difficult to, invest money into things that aren't harming other people. You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about, people, gentrification is a huge thing because it's a real estate aspect of a lot of people's generating wealth and stuff. So like more or less they take these houses, they refurbish them and everything, they kick other people out, and they make money off of a new demographic of people that they're moving into a place that once was inhabited by certain people, but now they're kicked out and they don't really have any place to go. Many of these people become homeless. Many of these people become, vagrants, and they have to move to other places. Their lives drastically change. But there are people who are said to have good business and have made those decisions, and they benefit off of that. That's what I'm saying as far as there's no good ethics when you're making that much money and causing that much kind of change. You're either invested in the stock market in some sense, which, we can get into and dissect how labor is divided all over the world and who's doing that labor between children or whatever and stuff. Or we can go into these big corporations and everything who are exploiting artists and people who create a lot of money for them. It's always at the expense of somebody else. And I think there are no, ethically polished and clean billionaires. I don't think it exists.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, what can you do? Do you just have to not be ethical for the sake of it? Because I mean, if you want to be ethical, you might as well run a nonprofit, and that's not going to make you money, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, I've always been confused about nonprofits. Like,
right. I think I really and genuinely think it's going to take, a few people who have the resources that they have to come together to make entities and things separate from people who own them. That's just it. I think once certain people, if you put a few different Jay-Z's together and stuff, and they created certain communities for people to literally come up and have chances and stuff, to change the dynamic of how life is looked at, even in certain demographics of where they're from and everything. It's just, you need money in order to change stuff. And I think once people put enough, of their resources together, they'll be able to actually change that and rely on it.
There is one thing that like kind of worried me though, because I forget who said it, if it was Kanye or if it was someone else, but they were like, so why do the streaming services only charge 99 cents for a song? Who says it's only 99 cents? So are they trying to say that they're trying to raise the prices on singles? Like, you know what I'm saying?
I think so.
You think they should? I think 99 cents is a good price point. Like, I see why they should now, because they can't tour and they need extra money, but they shouldn't do it like that. It shouldn't be at the consumer's expense.
Look at like movies that are you get on demand and everything, right? When they're brand new movies and you want to get them in HD and you want to have them for a week, those things are like $34, or you want to have them permanently, they're like $34.
And people were boycotting about Mulan being $30.
Right. But they still got it if they really wanted to get it. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they want to get it at that point. Mulan in a year and a half is going to be $12.99. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, you can find it for free online. Like,
yeah, you can. But I think the value of a stream and a single should be only dictated by its popularity and its newness. And if something new comes out and you want to charge $3 for the single, I think that's correct. Once it's not so new anymore, I think 99 cents is a good price point for it.
I'm trying to like imagine, like, do you think the artists could release like each single is its own OnlyFans or something, so they have to subscribe to each single if they want to keep it monthly or something? Like, couldn't they start doing that?
I think people are.
They're putting music on there? I didn't know that.
OnlyFans is not just for porn and shit, man. I think OnlyFans is for, just exclusive content. And a lot of people are starting to do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I know Cardi B was starting one for like the rumors or whatever. She said, she was like, that's what I'm going to do on OnlyFans.
Yeah. No, like, I mean, yeah, Cardi B, like she would get a lot of subscribers. If she got 50,000 subscribers, monthly subscribers at $20 a month, she's making $1 million a month. She wouldn't even have to be on a label. Like, that's crazy. Like, I could put all my content on OnlyFans and everything. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these people, you don't have to, like, there's different avenues to own your shit. I think that's a huge avenue. I think people are going to really start using that very soon.
I think it's weird though that it happens around the same time that she started her OnlyFans podcast or rumors podcast, whatever, and then she decided to get divorced now, even though they've been talking about it for years.
Right.
Like she just needed a way to monetize it first.
I mean, would you expect anything different?
I mean, is it genius? Is it good business, or is it at the expense of Offset? Because is it making him look bad?
I mean, I think it's both. I think it is for business, but I mean, Offset can't really look too much worse than he already does. If he does even look bad, I mean, I guess they're divorcing because what, he cheated. That's a huge ass surprise, right? Oh my God, he cheated for what, the 37th time and everything. I think they're both cheating on each other. Look, man.
Yeah, definitely.
They had a great public relationship and all that shit. I mean, their whole relationship was public. Their marriage was public. All that was public. I think this would be a public thing too. And
So you think it was? Are you saying that it was public because it was all just for publicity?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's what I was thinking back in the day. But then it's like you had a whole baby for publicity. What?
I mean, dude.
You're right. People do things.
Dude, and I don't want to put that on them. I don't want to, allegedly, if that's the case, they might have been able to do that. They very well may have, and very well may still be in love with each other. But I don't think that just because you're in love with somebody that you don't, use your situation to make money off of them. I think it's very, very popular nowadays for people to use their, relationships and stuff as a means to make money. We see it all over the place. So this is big news for them. I kind of, at the core of it, don't really care. I think they're going to be fine, individually and without each other. And, as long as that baby is taken care of, I don't give a fuck. Don't you love how funny all those memes and shit up was about like her WAP couldn't keep Offset and shit and everything? Like, how dumb is that? Like, that's so retarded. Degrading. It's just ridiculous. Like, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. She had to come out with the song first before she had the divorce, because she has that line about, "Let me show you how I got this ring." Like that's why she was a rush to put it out.
Objectively, you might be right. I think they probably were planning on getting divorced for a while. Like,
I mean, I thought it was just rumors again too. I was like, oh, here we go again, because it's happened before. But then she posted the picture of like the actual court filing and all that. So I was like, oh damn, I guess it's serious now.
Yeah, I mean, more power to them. Getting divorced is a hard thing. It's a brave thing to do too. Like, it's not an easy thing. Like, a lot of people stay together who aren't happy. So, kudos to them. Do your thing, Cardi. Go.
But I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you think she just shouldn't have gotten married at all to begin with?
I don't know what she should have done, to be honest with you, man. Like, I always thought that was an odd. I thought, like, you got to question when two very high profile people at their peak get together. You got to question it always. It's got to look like there has to be some kind of, ulterior motive behind it and stuff. It isn't just these two people met at these circumstances with all this money and all this fame and all this popularity at their peak popularity and just fell in love and all that stuff on a natural whim. It kind of, all this seems so orchestrated to begin with, so it's not shocking to me.
I think it's orchestrated in the sense that Cardi B was like, oh, their music is the hottest right now, so I need to get with him. And then that's how it came about.
100%.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, her music you think it's gonna change now?
I think it is. I think anytime, objectively speaking, anytime a hot female artist goes through like a breakup, the next album that comes out is fire. So I'm happy that she's gonna go through this. I need more artists in general to be.
What are some examples? Who do you say? Like, who are you talking about when you say that?
What's the girl who was dating? Who's the guy who did that song? Fuck Donald Trump.
I thought that was like Snoop Dogg.
No, it was another West Coast
YG.
rapper. YG, yeah. So who was the girl he was dating? Because she just came out with some fire. Like a couple months ago. Yeah, she came out with some crazy fire. What's her name? The top.
Was she talking about YG in it?
Yeah, a lot. Janae
Is that
Aiko's
Bios?
album a few months ago about Big Sean. I need people to be. This is some narcissistic, fucked up shit for me to say. I'm gonna still say it. I don't care anyways. Fuck it. We're talking. I need artists to be heartbroken. I need y'all to be, borderline suicidal and everything. Not because I want y'all to do anything or hurt yourself, but because that's when we're really gonna hear y'all put your shit out. And I want y'all to put your shit out. I want to hear stuff about, the stuff you're going through and stuff. I think not enough people are doing that shit. Like, just put your shit out there, be hurt, and put your shit out. And I can't wait for Cardi B to talk that shit about her divorce and how she about to get that whap to somebody else straight up.
I don't know. Like, when you talk about, Big Sean, when he came out with his single and it was about, mental health, and then, Logic has that song with the suicide hotline. I think all those songs, I think those are corny and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
but there's a difference. I don't want you to be like talking about suicidal shit. I'm more talking about like, the Eminem personal type shit, like where Eminem was going through personal, actual shit and everything. Not some I've been raising my like that was a whole cornfield. Logic was an entire cornfield for that bullshit. Like, that was insane. I heard that and I was like, it was cringy. Like, exactly, I hate stuff like that. I agree with you. I hate shit like that. But I do need people. I need people to be heartbroken when they make their music. Heartbroken music is better than not heartbroken music. I'm sorry, it just is.
Definitely.
So like, let's go Cardi, and let's go Offset too. I want to hear some shit that he put out. Like, Offset is dope. Like, let's not forget about him. Who do you think is the best rapper in the Migos?
I think Takeoff is actually the best.
I think he's the best too.
He usually has the best.
I think he got the best. Thank you. Now, Takeoff is like the unsung like best rapper out of all of them, I feel like. But yeah, like I haven't heard any new shit from them in a minute, so I'm hoping that they come back. I think they're gonna benefit from things reopening pretty soon, because they're a very heavy concert act, and so they need that kind of energy and everything to be flourishing like they were.
That's what I'm saying. I'm curious to see what Cardi sounds like though without them, because people were saying back then she is basically the fourth Migos.
Kinda. I mean, a lot of like Partisan Fontaine is writing a lot of her shit too, though.
Oh, true. So
like if you look at the credits on like her album, he has writer credits on a lot of, if not all of, the damn album. So like she's still with him and everything, and I think they're still under quality control management. So they're not gonna like not be around each other and stuff. I think this is, again, like, you got to question any kind of high profile relationship. The only high profile relationships, as we've seen, like, last, especially in like the hip hop or even like the this culture and everything, is like Jay-Z and Beyonce, and quite possibly just maybe Will Smith and Jada. But even their entanglement, which was some bullshit, by the way, is like, like, even that's going through some shit and everything. It's very, you don't see high profile people get together and stay together like that. So,
I feel like Will and Jada definitely they're cheating on each other. They've been cheating on each other too, right? Like, it's like a known thing.
Yeah, I feel like, I feel like they really are. I think Will just kept his a secret a whole lot better than Jada did. And I think that's a very huge thing. I think when you have prior agreements and everything, that's fine. And at the core of it, you just don't want to be embarrassed. I think the shit that Jada did was just embarrassing for Will.
Yeah, I don't get it. The first time they talked about it was on that show together. I didn't even watch it. I just saw like, or did she?
That was some bullshit. Like, she just basically said like, "Oh, we got into this entanglement." No, bitch, you cheated. You cheated, and it's okay if y'all had that prior arrangement and everything. But just call it what it is, You know, it's not okay if that's not what y'all prior or previously arranged. And you know, just don't embarrass the person you're with. That's the biggest thing. Just don't embarrass people.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know if I'm making this up right now, but was Will Smith allegedly also like friends with Epstein?
I have no idea. Could be. Are they?
I don't know. I thought it was something like that. I can look it up right now just to make sure I'm not like just coming up with some like bullshit on here.
Man, look, I know Epstein was friends with a lot of people, and I know that a lot of people engaged with shit with him that he was about, and I know a lot of people who knew him probably didn't. So like, I don't know. He was a popular dude and a sick motherfucker, by the way. So yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, a quick Google search. I'm looking at the headlines. They're making it seem like he
knows
was.
him.
Yeah. So it's not. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. It's like he can't really be. I feel like this was all publicity too.
I mean, it definitely might have been like it's weird.
Now all of a sudden Will Smith is revamping Fresh Prince, right?
Right.
They're doing a reboot, so that's kind of weird. That I don't know. I thought that song that I never listened to August Alsina, and then he came out with that song too. I was like, I'm definitely not listening to this. What the fuck?
August Alsina is one of the corniest bitch ass people of all time.
You mean for that or just in general?
For that.
Oh.
For that. That was so corny. Entanglement. Like, oh my God. I will never listen to August Alsina again. Like, that was so whack. He needs to like do a retracting statement and a rebrand because that was horrible. Like, that was bad. Like, I do not respect people who, you know, kiss and tell and then cry about it like that. Like, relax, bro. She was.
I didn't know. I didn't know it was a crying song. I thought it was like a "yeah, fuck you, I got your girl" song or something.
It was one of those, but it was just spiteful. It was because he was hurt.
Oh, how was he hurt? He has no reason.
Exactly. He is a whole bag of candy corn, bro. Like, he's terrible.
So, but that goes against what you were saying. Is that's when he's heartbroken, right? So he
was heartbroken over someone who was married. And he was heartbroken.
It's like that sometimes. Like,
but he was also heartbroken over somebody who let him know. Like, what she said basically was like, I let him know from the beginning. I just wanted to have some fun with you.
That was her version.
Man, he said that shit. He said that shit to Angela Yee in their interview. He was like, yeah, I got caught up in some stuff where, you know, I caught feelings for somebody who didn't feel the same way about me. And it's my fault, but, you know, it still hurt. And I'm like, well, duh, she's married. She has kids by this man, like high profile kids. Nah, that shit was weird, man. I think a lot.
You think a lot what?
I think all this stuff is like all for ratings, man. It's hard. It's hard to look at it and not think so.
Like, just Will Smith and Jada Pinkett in general.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like, their kids they're trying to be like the Kardashians. Like, oh yeah, the kids are gonna be famous, and then
the Black Dashians.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. I mean, why not? If what their goal is to make money and be a household name, they're doing it, and you know, more power to them. I ain't falling for that shit. I don't think Will Smith is that great of an actor anymore, and I think there was only a few actor or roles that he played that I was actually really drawn to, but he played a lot of bullshit, corny ass roles too. So like, whatever, do your thing, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, all these actors that just regularly get in movies, and you know, they're not necessarily, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. He's among that category of
superstar.
You know, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into it, but you know, like they say the same thing about Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, he just gets movies. Kevin Spacey's randomly in these movies, and these are all, you know what I'm saying? So
pedophiles, nasty motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, like, I get it.
I'm just saying, like, allegedly.
I mean, it's enough to look at it, if people are pedophiles and doing nasty shit, I think they should 100% get exposed. I'm glad we have, that movement going around where we're trying to all expose that shit because, that's nasty. And the truth needs to come out and everything. And I'm glad that it is coming out. What did you think about real quick, R.I.P. to Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She died a few days back.
Yeah, that was like Friday.
Yeah. Objectively, RIP to somebody like she did a lot of things for women. She was a very, she fought for women's rights. She fought for women to have positions of power. She fought for just basic rights of, women. She went through, a lot of different periods of time. She died at 87. So like RIP to her. But this also brings into question, us, starting to recognize certain things that people represented. Because I actually didn't know a whole lot about this woman up until she did die, right? And I did like some research on her and all that stuff and found out what she was and, who she was. And, I got a lot of objective information and all this stuff. I have a question and a brief topic I wanted to like just address and everything. Yeah. Because like while she stood for a lot of women's rights and everything, she also was against when Kaepernick took a knee in the NFL, she called it stupid and a dumb way to protest, and she doesn't understand it, and that she didn't agree with it. She also voted that she was also one of the people who pushed for and voted as well that the legal age of consent in California be 13 years old. This actually happened. This documented. She was documented like voting towards these.
Talk about what happened recently that passed in California.
Yeah, excuse me. Yes, exactly.
They're not making it the age.
No. Excuse me. Not that one. She did vote for that one, but that wasn't one that she voted for. There was another bill that was proposed in like I believe the early 2000s, and she was trying to push for it and stuff. And I say these things not to tarnish somebody, especially in their death, because her family deserves to be able to mourn, and she meant a lot to a lot of people. My question, I guess my question is, can you be a true fighter and advocate of justice and ignore other justices or other people's, shortcomings or whatever in life? Can you actively push for women's rights yet deny that Black people are, being persecuted? Can you?
I mean, like you say, like you don't want to tarnish, her image or whatever. At the same time, it's like the other way. Like when you were saying she was for women's rights or whatever. Back in the day, the majority of women, like supposedly, didn't want the right to vote or something like that. So for her, like it was the conservative thing at the time to be like, oh, women should be able to vote. So it's just it's a different spin on it now when you would say something like, oh, well, she was for women's rights. That doesn't necessarily, I don't know. I don't know what's I'm not trying to say like conservatives good, liberals bad. I'm just saying
right.
That could have been taken as something bad back in the day. So it's not
right
that she might say something bad. It's just how you spin it. I feel like.
Right. I look at but I don't want to take anything away from her. I think there's things that she's done and everything that I couldn't have done in her position and stuff. Like she's, obviously a very historic figure. I just look at certain things and how people stand for certain justices. Like I couldn't consciously go out and march at a Black Lives Matter movement if I didn't feel the same, passion and need for justice to go march at a LGBTQ parade or a women's rights parade or
did you march in like a pride parade?
100% all the time. Like, yes, like I've been to several different like parades, the cancer walks, the women's rights walks, all through 2016, 2017. A lot of all these Black Lives Matter and police brutality protests and stuff. Like,
yeah, I saw that when you went on live and they were like attacking peaceful protesters.
Yeah, dude. Like we're all out here and everything. And I can't consciously be a good advocate for that kind of justice that directly affects me if I'm not an advocate for justice that doesn't directly affect me. Because even if it doesn't directly affect me, it still affects me because I'm a person, I'm an American. And, if my brother and my neighbor and everything has to deal with certain things that I don't have to, I don't think that's fair. Period. No matter who I am and what my race is, what my sex is, what I believe in, and that's where I find a lot of the clash and everything with a lot of these people and stuff. A lot of the leaders and stuff, and a lot of people that we, historically idolized and everything, were stern disbelievers to contemporary norms, I guess, of now, where somebody like Martin Luther King was looked at as a great civil rights leader and everything. He didn't like, or he denounced people who were gay. Now, is that a product of, him being at the time that he was, or is it a product of him just understanding what it was and still being, not okay with it?
I mean, like I said, there's multiple ways to spin things, and on one hand, like you might think you're fighting the good fight just because, like you said, if you're gonna support this, then you have to support this, blah blah blah. But now because everything is so like you're either on this side or on this side, it's kind of hard to decide like what's what. Like for example, I don't know. I'm just gonna play devil's advocate here because I don't know.
No, like please go ahead.
But for example, I would assume you're pro-choice. I'm pro-choice for sure.
Yeah,
100%. Because I do believe it's the woman's. She chooses 100%. But at the same time, have you heard the argument against that though?
Absolutely.
What argument have you heard?
On the argument that I've heard about it is two different arguments. It is, the involvement of the guy's choice and everything, because it takes the guy in order to even have to go through that decision. And then it is the length along, I guess, in the abortion, if somebody
like what trimester?
Yeah, and how, and like long-term abortions and all that stuff. Those are the two arguments I've heard of.
So I get what you're saying. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about as far as because like I said, I can't quote any sources, but to say that you are so you support Black Lives Matter. Sure. So on one hand, if you support that, then you shouldn't be pro-choice because
they're destroying black children.
Black fathers. Yeah.
Right, but also, I think a blanket right that people should have is the right to do what they want to with their bodies and stuff. And I think that transcends a race thing. I don't think that's I think that's a bigger blanket statement to be able to, allow people to do what they want. I could turn right around and just say that, if more Black people had access to Planned Parenthood and the ability to have abortions, in times where they didn't have a lot of money or weren't able to take care of these children, that we would probably have less Black people on welfare, that we would probably have less Black people depending on, some of our publicly given services, and a lot of less poverty where you create generations within poverty. Like you don't grow from that. So like, I think that would be an argument that I would say towards that, whereas you're actually empowering certain people to not be bringing, children into, fucked up situations. I don't think that, women, want to use abortions as a form of contraception and a form of, preventing, pregnancy and everything. I think that's a last ditch resort, and it's something that they have to deal with. It's a life-changing event, whether they go through it or not. It's something that us as men are never going to have to be able to go through, and that should be their decision. If we want to talk about, if a person decides to have the child and the father didn't want it, if you want to talk about, like rights after the child is born, that's a whole different subject and everything, as far as like, between the woman and the man and everything. But as far as telling a woman what to do with her body, objectively, we don't have a leg to stand on that at all. And I think that's a huger blanket thing than any, Black Lives Matter. I think that encompasses everything.
Also, because I'm looking at it from a different blanket too, because then you brought up Martin Luther King. He said he doesn't like gay people, but there's also that conspiracy that there's like the feminization, or you know what I'm saying? Like, do you buy into all that?
The feminization, like
feminization of black men,
right?
And that's why like everyone's always like in drag. Like when they're on TV, like Will Smith has played like all those actors, like that's
right. Yeah, they've all been playing like women and stuff.
Yeah,
like Eddie Murphy was on The Nutty Professor and all that.
Even as recent as Lil Yachty, he was Oprah, right, in that video.
Right. What does that have to do with like
they're trying to have less black people by making the black people gay and just other minorities, which is why Martin Luther King might be against that. And it's not necessarily like he's anti-gay people. It's just that he's against that agenda.
Well, no, like it wasn't even so much that agenda. He was just a very he was a devout Christian, and he used certain Christian values and everything to justify that in a way that he wasn't saying that these people were like demons or whatever, but he wasn't also going and defending their rallies or cries and everything when they were having them in the late 60s and stuff, as the hippie movement was coming around, and that lifestyle was starting to become a more of a known and prominent and accepted thing in society, even though it was pushed away mostly. So like it was like, again, it's just like, was he a product of the time and the context that he was in, or was it that he felt that these people weren't worth being fought for as much as these people were? Or because I look at it as, overall, if somebody's struggling, we want to eliminate that struggle, at least on the terms that we can control it. And what we can control a lot of times is the negative and pessimistic thoughts that we have towards other people, and what they choose to do with that individually is up to them, but we can control that. So like, can you be a freedom and justice fighter for one cause and denounce another? And like that's been kind of like, can you have selective morality when it comes to the struggle of humankind?
I think that it should be okay. I think we all should play a part. I don't think one person can do it all. We should all do something. I don't know the exact quote, but you know what I'm saying,
right?
But at the same time, that's what I'm saying. It's like when you just because I feel like you at some point the beliefs just become all like convoluted, and like you don't know what you're actually fighting for anymore. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening now. Like everything is backwards now to me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Or is that maybe just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate. I just think of the other side.
No, like it's good to think about the other side and why, you would go along with and think about this stuff and everything. It's just that woman's death, sparked that about me, because I objectively and admittedly, I didn't know anything about her until she died. I didn't know that she was, I didn't know she was this important to people. I didn't know any of that stuff. And being in the age of information, one of the things that, social media and people like to do immediately once somebody dies is they like to not only bring up all the great stuff that they do, but they like to bring up their dirt too, in order to, for whatever reason, throw dirt on somebody's legacy. And her legacy is not going to be tarnished by the things that she might have believed in, because she did so much for people and specifically women, and that's never going to be shitted on. But like, is there true people who really believe in, not just, like, it wasn't even that like she didn't believe in, she didn't not help Black Lives Matter and everything. She literally was like, that protest is stupid and dumb. That was directly quoted from her. So it was either a ignorance to what the actual struggle was, or it was, you don't have a legitimate enough struggle to be doing what you're doing. Whatever the case is, it's either a tone deaf or it's a hypocritical stance, in my opinion, as somebody who understands the struggle of a certain type of person.
Since you brought up like Martin Luther King, wouldn't you say like Malcolm X would also be like, oh, that's a dumb protest? You know what I'm saying? He was, yeah. See, so it could be like that. I don't know how she said it, because I didn't read the article. This is the first time learning about this, so I don't know.
Right.
But she literally was like, she was against them protesting, or she was just saying doing it like that is dumb?
No, she said that's a dumb protest. You're in America. Like, what is like, she belittled what the actual protest meant, which is why I said she either was very tone deaf and ignorant to a struggle, which she should have no business doing in the position of power, and with her age and what she's lived through the civil rights movement. She's seen firsthand, probably up close and personal, the police brutality towards Black people during, these protests and riots and everything, 4 years and everything. So it's either tone deaf or it's hypocritical, because you can't be like, women have to have these rights and everything and all this stuff, and they objectively 100% do, and then turn right around and say that this person's struggle isn't legitimate. Like, it strikes me, and you said it very correctly. Everybody has a part to play. We all have everybody can't be a social justice warrior and hero for every single cause. I just don't think you have to denounce it either. I don't think you have to call other people's causes dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, because now
we specifically said the cause was dumb. That's different.
Yeah, like, and that's like, what, like, damn, dude, like, how am I supposed to feel like about that and stuff? You said something that I struggle with is dumb, but I agree with something that you're fighting for. Like, is there like I don't know. We got really deep into that stuff and everything. But
yeah, let's move on. I want to ask you though, did you boycott the NFL though when they weren't letting Kaepernick play?
No, I didn't boycott it.
Why not?
Because objectively, I'm a slave to the entertainment that football provides. I used to play it and everything. But I don't think you have to boycott the NFL to necessarily be fighting for justice for people or against police brutality. I think that was his specific fight, and I supported him in that fight because those were justifiable means to protest. I mean, hell yeah, do that for it. And it took some time, but the NFL is starting to, come around, and everybody's starting to come around. And
he's on the team now, right?
He's on Madden. He's on Madden video game, but he's not on the team yet. No.
Oh.
So
yeah,
we
should still be boycotting. That's what I feel like that's basically like signing the contract. You know what I'm saying? You're still gonna watch it, even though they don't care about the cause.
Right.
You're still gonna watch it. You're still gonna give them ratings. You're still
so the ratings are questionable now and everything too, because we're not. They've started the season. They're actually playing tonight and today and everything for the second week in a row. There's no fans in the stands, or there's very limited ones if there are. And at the beginning of the season, Patrick Mahomes, who is a Black quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, who they just won the Super Bowl this past February, and he also just became probably, I think, the highest paid person in professional sports. Like he signed like a $300 or $400 million deal for 10 years or something like that. It was insane. So him, another high profile quarterback, we just got paid. Several of the highest profile black athletes in the NFL, along with white athletes standing in solidarity with their black teammates. They made a commercial saying we asked and we demand or we will set out basically that you denounce police brutality against black athletes. We demand that you admit that you were wrong for blackballing Colin Kaepernick from the league and everything, and that you were taking his protest, which is now a very serious thing, out of context. They're asking them to start to put their money in stuff where their mouth is, or they're going to start putting on a strike and everything. And this was made public, and people are still watching the NFL as a result of that. So it's not the threat of it still happening and changing is still there. And I think that if there aren't changes made, you're going to see the highest paid athlete in the world sit out and not play something, which is going to dramatically affect, the money aspect of what the NFL is and stuff. And again, when you have that kind of capital and that kind of backing and everything, you can start to make decisions like that. And
you're talking about the guy that just signed the $400 million. He can sit out now and just keep his money.
He's not going to be able to keep all of his money at all. A lot of his money is incentive based, but he had $120 million signing bonus. So the moment he signed, he had $120 million.
Yeah, I'm good on that anyway.
So like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have, like, once you have that kind of financial backing, you can start to make certain decisions.
You're right, making the decisions, but then who really wins in the end? Because then he's given all the money back to, well, I guess Jay-Z owns the NFL, but
right. He's part of the he's part of some cultural aspect of the NFL, or like cultural
some bullshit title they
they gave him some weird thing. But
no, I don't mean again, I just meant like they just
he's a part of it. But like Patrick Mahomes, the guy who just signed that big deal, I would argue is the Charlemagne, right? Because he's taken his position now. He's the biggest name in football right now. He just came off of a Super Bowl win. He just signed the biggest contract ever, and now he's taking his power and his pull in the league and saying, we demand this or we won't play. And I'm going to be all right either way, because I just got paid. I'm a 24-year-old and I just got paid the most money that any athlete's ever been paid ever in the history of athletics. So he's the Charlemagne of this thing. Kaepernick is more of the Joe Budden. Kaepernick is like, I'm not feeding into any aspect of people who profit off of me until y'all give everybody and all of us what we deserve. And that's.
Does Kaepernick still get like a base pay for because he's part of the NFL? No one's picked him, right?
No, I don't. He's not part of any team or roster. He had a settlement, I think, last year where he got paid, several tens of millions of dollars. So he's not hurting in any kind of financial fashion. He doesn't need.
Paid him not to play, basically.
More or less, or not to say a whole lot about what the settlement was and all that shit.
I see.
To basically that they colluded to blackball him from the NFL, and he won a huge settlement, for basically them to plead no contest. It was, several tens of millions of dollars, and he got a deal with Nike as well. So like he's fine financially. It's more about what he wants to do as far as football, and whether or not he squandered that last year with that bogus tryout and everything. But know your worth and know your contracts. I think this is a huge theme in a lot of what we're going through today when it comes to, people's money and their worth and all that stuff. We're trying to, as people who make between $30,000 and $60,000 a year, be in the minds of people who make 10 to 100 times that much in a year. You know what I'm saying? Like what their decision process is and stuff. And, I would die at the chance at making, $10 million. But I have to know that just off of basic economics and everything, I have to be worth $100 million in order to make $10 million. And I think that's what needs to start changing. If you're worth $10 million, you should at least be making $5 million. That's just me, though. If you can't make half of what you're worth, then why? What are you really worth?
I don't know. That's why I don't know. I was boycotting NFL before that was a thing. I never really followed a lot of football.
It was easy for you to boycott it.
I've always felt like it was really like political in nature already. Like they just want everyone, because each team. Well, I don't know. Football is different, but like basically like if you're big into football, then you're the type of person that'll be like, yeah, USA, because you're from the U. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. Like.
There's a huge demographic of America who watches the NFL. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of Americas out there.
But that's the point of it, is to turn people into that. I feel
to some extent, but even still, like even if you want to look at that, like 77% of the NFL is African American. So like the people who play in it, and
even the owners.
But that's the problem. There's no black owners.
Exactly.
There's 0 black owners,
so
and there's only a handful of black coaches and everything. And my point
still stands.
Right. So again, this is what we're coming down to. Like these, like imagine how much these athletes are making and producing money for these owners and stuff, man. Like we look at something like a $400 million contract for 10 years as something insanely crazy, when that franchise made probably $7 billion last year by itself. And we could argue that half of that success, that $7 billion, was due in part to that quarterback who just got signed. So more or less $3.5 billion was brought into that establishment because of that guy, and you paid him $400 million over a 10-year span. You know what I'm saying? Like we're looking at it like, oh my God, like this is the most money ever. But this person is generating an entire city's economy, more or less, like as far as business.
He's gonna sit out those games and they're still gonna make money.
I doubt it, man. I doubt it, man. Like you need, like these are bona fide superstars, and that's the power of a union. When you take the 25 biggest superstars in the NFL and they all threaten to not play, you know what I'm saying? When you take basically there are players who are, people watch that team, like the Kansas City Chiefs, because they want to see what Patrick Mahomes is going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine the Chicago Bulls back in the 90s without Jordan. You think the same people are going to watch the games without Jordan? They're not going to do it. Like if you threaten that in today's climate, people are going to, there's going to be a lot of changes. So
you're right. I guess that's also it's like I've never been big on like certain names of players. I don't know. Do you think, because you were asking me the other day about like 6ix9ine being a superstar, like you think like athletes are superstar celebrities as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Yeah, I don't get starstruck. I mean, when I was working at Olive Garden, there was like someone that used to be a Steelers
right
player, and I didn't know who it was. Everyone was like asking for his autograph. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, like you gotta understand, man. Like a lot of these athletes, people grew up watching them and they wanted to be like them and stuff. So like they're real life superheroes to a lot of these people, and they are celebrity status. I mean, like there are people who have political pull now as far as being an athlete and everything. I mean, a lot of people historically have used their athletic, abilities and gifts to be able to stand for something bigger. I mean, we've seen it from Muhammad Ali. We've seen, the Jordans. We've seen LeBron James now. Like, I mean, he's as great as he is and stuff, and he's like making schools and stuff for people and doing the work and stuff in the community off of the platform that he has. So like, a lot of people look up to these people like hardcore. They're super celebrities, and um, Drake said it in his first album, on the outre that you could thank me now, and like that song on there. He basically said like there's like a symmetry between the rappers and the ball players because each one of them wants to be each other because they all think that each one of them is the real superstar. So like yeah, they're for real superstar levels like athletes.
I don't know. I think Bad Girls Club is a sport. They should be paid like football players. They get beat up there too, right? Like,
Man, come on, man. That kind of fighting, bro. You think that's a real sport? I watch MMA, bro. I be watching people get knocked out for real. And that shit is crazy. Now, Bad Girls Club is hilarious. I mean, but it is that is
like
reality TV.
MMA, like you could die doing that shit. Like Bad Girls
100%.
Club, it's all just like I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You're not. No one's gonna die there.
Nah,
I don't know. Has
like,
anyone died doing like MMA or like UFC, anything like that?
hell yeah, bro.
Like,
People died
in the middle of the game, like or
they
the
ain't
fight.
gonna air. They're never gonna air that shit. No, but yes,
I thought they were live. They don't do like pay-per-view and it's live.
They do. There's live stuff, but I also know that there's like also delays and shit on certain things just to prevent that. Because
but you're saying that definitely has happened.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, bro, that shit is brutal. It is not a game, bro. But yeah, man. I'm reading this book right now called "The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck," right? And it's a great book. It's by this guy called Mark. The author's name is Mark Manson, and it was tying into a lot of the stuff that you know I've been trying to like implement in just my basic philosophy nowadays and everything. I was talking to one of my homies, and I hit him up, and it was actually the guy I work with heavily in music, one of my producers. Asked him how he was doing, and he basically was like, "I'm doing good, man. I'm starting to let go of shit." And that's just like that in itself. That one quote kind of just like awakened a need to kind of like start getting back into the reading of this stuff. And so I started reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and it's basically it's not about not giving a fuck. It's more about giving a fuck more about the things that you care about, so that you give a fuck less about shit that doesn't mean anything, as the basic premise and everything. And it's basically staying out of people's business and and like kind of minding your own and everything. How accurate do you think you can actually mind your own business in the world and the content that we actually create? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Is it are we able to ever actually do that? Because like I feel that book was written 3 years ago, and I feel like even 3 years ago feels like 10 years ago in the progression of how the world's gone from what's important to how we communicate to like everything. So like it's a very weird purgatory-esque place to be in as far as like where to go from here as far as
I feel like we've been dealing with Corona for like 10 years now.
I mean, Corona. I mean, the protests and the cultural movement. We got an election coming up. Like everything is just happening all at once and stuff, man. And
but I don't know. You remember back? I forget when it happened, but there was a whole bunch. It was like 2015 or 16. It was like every week there was something that people were like boycotting going to work. I don't know if you were. I remember specifically because at my job it was a bunch of like Spanish people, and there was one day where like all the Hispanic people were not going to work.
I think it was against Trump. It was for Trump.
That's what I'm saying. It's been going on for like that, like you know what I'm saying, like.
Well, it's been going on since, like, truthfully, like consistently since 2011, since Trayvon.
True.
Like from Trayvon up, there's been like Black Lives Matter protests all the time, because now it's almost a regular thing to see somebody getting shot up by some police and shit. So But yeah, like you said, it has been going on for a while. And you made a very good point. I don't even know what to like fight for anymore because all this stuff is just very odd.
I'm not saying like you shouldn't know. I mean, I'm not definitely like fight for what you believe is right. I'm just saying sometimes I feel like you're getting tricked to jump onto a bandwagon that's tricking you into thinking it's one thing, but it's really another. And that's what I'm always like kind of afraid of doing. That's why here, I don't know. I don't know if this is too deep. All right. But like, check this out. This is what I was thinking about the other day, right? I'm playing devil's advocate again.
Right.
But earlier you were talking about, oh yeah, you hate pedophiles, blah blah blah, right?
Right.
So let's spin that around because if you were to hate gay people, oh, you're homophobic. That must mean you're gay. So does that mean if you're pedophobic, you're secretly a pedophile? You know what I'm saying?
I don't. There could be some relation to that. I
Because I
know
don't
for me.
I don't know if you
Right.
saw the episode I did where I brought my friend Belle on here and we talked about the movie Cuties.
Right.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about it and everything.
What's your thoughts on the movie?
I truthfully I couldn't get very far into it, man. It was like
Oh,
I
you actually
know
tried to watch it?
I tried to watch it, yeah, like on some real shit because I know what it's for, and I have to look at things objective. Like I look at that and my discomfort in watching it, like a war veteran might look at a war movie, or or a woman who might have experienced certain kind of sexual, assault or trauma, seeing some kind of rape scene on, like a TV show or something. So like that discomfort, while it's not my own, I like it's a part of our art. It just made me too discomfort. It just made me too uncomfortable to watch. It's supposed to basically be a movie about shining light on the fact of child exploitation and child sexuality and stuff, and how these children are being primed and molded into something.
Yeah, I mean, I get the idea that the movie was supposed to be like a show, like giving exposure to this problem, right?
Right.
But my whole thing is, if you want to go with your metaphor of the war thing, what they did is basically like, oh, hey, let's film a movie about a war, but let's really throw bombs on these people because they're really violating these actors. You know what I mean?
Right. There's no there's no pornography or anything in this movie. Like
I mean, there's not any of that, but who knows what the audition process was like? But at the same time, there's still these cameras that are all close up of these girls. Like, who gave the okay for that? You know what I'm saying?
Right. I don't know. Like, and that's a good question, and that's part of the cringeworthiness of even trying to watch it. Like, I know why this was made. It still makes me extremely uncomfortable because it's just not something that I want to like. I have children, and I immediately, when I see anything happening that's weird with children in any kind of sense, I immediately look at my children and put them in that position, and it's extremely enraging and uncomfortable, and it's nasty. Like, it's not something you want to think about or experience. So like, while I understand why they made it, I couldn't watch it. And I think I think things like this are needed. Like, at first I was against the whole exploitation of it, and I looked at it a little bit wrong and all that stuff. I then looked at the fact that this is in some form, even though it is exploitive, it is art. And if I want to be an artist, I have to be objective to the types of art that people put out. People put out brutal movies about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. People put out brutal movies about slavery and civil rights. We see brutal movies. I mean, we idolize Game of Thrones, which I have not seen at all. And in the first episodes and everything, there's several rape scenes. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are movies and everything that we have become selectively okay with when it comes to certain kind of discomforts and certain kinds of traumas that people might look at and be like, fuck, this is nasty and this triggers me and everything. and it's at the expense of our entertainment. And this is no different in that sense. This is an extremely uncomfortable thing to watch, and it's but it is I want to judge it by its intent and not what's actually being put out. And I know the intent is meant to expose the over sexuality of our young women in society, and
yeah, the movie
that's needed.
I'm sure the movie was like had a message and all that, but I think my problem with it was just the advertising because
yeah, it was a bad branding job.
They advertised the wrong part of the movie, or maybe it was the right part.
It was a bad branding job, dude. I thought it was just like people putting these little young women up to dance and shit, and I was like, "What in the fuck is wrong with Netflix, bro?"
That's why I bring that up, because it's like you were talking about fighting for what's right. I kind of jumped on the bandwagon right away. All of a sudden, I was like, "Oh yeah, this movie's bad," blah blah blah. And then I started to think about why is that? And then you're right, because like I'm an artist too, and sometimes I wouldn't want anyone to censor my art either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like I don't know which side is right to fight for now.
Right. Like I'm an artist, and even me trying to watch that art, I couldn't do it. Like just as a consumer. So like I understand the outrage of it. And I understand like the optic of it. It looks fucking terrible. And by all means, probably sitting through that, it probably is fucking terrible. But again, I mean, like objectively, I don't want to be shielded by art, and I objectively have looked at a lot of forms of art that are nasty and took pleasure in it. I mean, like just I think everybody does do that.
Here's where I think it's part of an agenda though, because Cardi B has a lot of influence and stuff, right? Well, I don't know. I don't know what part of the movie you saw. I saw some little trailer, quote unquote, on Facebook, and it was just the dance scene, basically. You saw that part of the movie.
Yeah.
They were doing the WAP dance.
Right.
And that WAP dance came out before the movie officially came out. So you know what I'm saying? Like they were using Cardi B's fans to kind of also promote the movie to make it like cool. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just had a problem. I think that's like weird too about it.
Right. So instead of like aside from like a traditional movies and everything where they have to submit edited, things like months in advance and everything for it to come out on time. Like I feel like with the digital age, there might be some leeway in that. So I do think they use that song to be able to kind of bring attention to the fact that little girls are listening to stuff like that and taking it in a sexual way and mimicking it. So like I think they made a last decision like, yeah, let's throw that in there and everything to kind of emphasize more of the point of the movie.
I thought they filmed the movie before that TikTok challenge came out.
No, they definitely did. I think you can still I mean,
see,
you can do last minute edits.
The way I thought. So you thought they added that scene last minute after the
workshop?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
they put. Why not? Or if they didn't,
yeah, I don't think they did. I think it was planned from the beginning. They were like, we're gonna have them do this in the movie, but we're not gonna tell Cardi B that. But we're gonna make that the dance challenge.
That could be weird. I mean, I tend to believe that it was a timing thing. On the other end of what you're saying, but you might not be wrong on that. And if that's the case, that's nasty. Like, it's so weird to exist in today's like climate, just not knowing what's real and what's not, like, and what people's intents are and what their background is and stuff. I feel like there's so much dirt and skeletons in people's closet. Like, it's just so nasty. And that's why I think there's so much outrage about the cuties and stuff. And everybody's trying to, dude, like, come on, bro. WAP is not that damn bad. It's really not.
That was definitely
it's an over exaggeration, dude. We came up with Trina. We came up with fucking Kaya. We came up with fucking Slob on my knobs and everything. Like, it's people are ridiculous. Like, the Yin Yang Twins was talking about skeeting on walls, bro. Like, and we just forgot about it and everything. And the WAP has become the most like, polarizing thing and shit.
I don't know. I guess those other artists also weren't having conversations with presidential candidates.
Yeah, and I think that's why. But why is Cardi B having conversations with Joe Biden?
They're using her. They're using her for that.
100%.
To promote the movie for Netflix. You see what I'm saying? Like, she's just an agenda machine.
Yeah, dude. I think she's being used 100%, man. I agree with you all the way on that. But again, like, as far as the cutie shit, man, like, I just haven't been able to get over the discomfort of watching it. I know it's a righteous cause. And I think, you know, activism in the form of art is the most powerful form of activism. So, like, at some point or another.
It's like my friend Belle was telling me. I guess it's easier for her to say because she's a girl or you know, a woman. But she was like, we were doing that shit at 11. Like,
exactly, know. Like exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they were like, it's not. Just because it's an uncomfortable truth doesn't mean it's not a truth. You know, like it's what's happening. It's just a lot of people don't want to see what's happening, and they don't want to be, you know, morally or visually responsible for knowing that stuff. So I know for a fact there was women doing that shit or girls doing that shit. Like, I used to have fucking parties when I was 11 and 12 where these little, like, young girls are acting fucking crazy and shit. Like, yeah, like, yes, like, yes, like.
So it's absolutely. Like, I don't know. It's really is it really imitating life, or are they normalizing it?
They're normalizing it. Or you talking about the movie?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're bringing light to a serious, you know, subject and everything. How young women are being sexualized, and the fact that men are sexualizing them in that way, and how that's, you know, meant to starting to become an okay and more accepted, you know, thing. And it's not. It shouldn't be. It's disgusting.
But it's just like, you know, let's take it back to Bad Girls Club. Mm-hmm. Bad Girls Club is supposed to help the women grow, but it's not really. You know what I mean?
That's, I feel like reality TV, bro.
Well, I feel like that's the same thing with like movies. They found some screenwriter and they were like, oh, well, this looks like a good story. Then we can get away with doing, like, filming these girls do this WAP dance, and that's really all they wanted to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Who knows?
You might be correct, and I haven't gotten through it enough to make that determination because it made me very uncomfortable. But I mean, I wouldn't put that behind it as far as a possibility. It's an issue, dude. Like, it is an issue. I think our youth is at the expense of, you know, access to social media and internet on phones and stuff, and being able to pull up a video like WAP on demand, whereas, you know, years ago we had to wait for that thing to come on MTV and shit, or on MTV or BET Uncut and shit or whatever and stuff. It's definitely changing and stuff. So it is good to bring light to a situation that's changing and it's evolving, and it deserves attention, because once you have attention, now you have, you know, at least the knowledge to know how to start a fight against certain aspects that exploit it. So that's all I gotta say about that shit.
True. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't, like I said, you don't know what you're fighting for by not watching the movie. Maybe you're contributing to people not being aware, and that's hurt. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, and that's yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I just think about the opposite no matter what.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
and you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. But yeah, so what are you looking forward to next week?
As far as, I want to see what Joe Budden does next week.
True.
Just to be honest with you, because this past Saturday was his last episode with Spotify. I want to see where he's going to go with that. Yeah, man. And as far as entertainment, that's all I'm really I'm looking forward to. I don't know who's coming out with music in the next week or so.
Real quick. I know you said you don't listen to academics a lot, but did you hear what's going on with like him and Adam 22 and Selena Powell?
No, like what's going on with that?
I don't know. It's unnecessary drama. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But long story short, because I don't know. You know who Selena Powell is, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know who she was until like she was on the No Jumper channel or whatever. but she had signed on to have her own show on the No Jumper channel, and then allegedly Adam and his girlfriend Lena coerced her into like having a threesome. So Academics was on Twitch talking about Adam Epstein and Lena Maxwell. And it was like, yeah, it was like some crazy shit. And apparently Selena Powell is going to have Adam 22's alleged rape victim as a guest.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trying to see what's going on with that. I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but it was like a 3-hour Twitch video, and all three of them were arguing, and I watched all 3 hours of it like a dumbass. Like,
I mean, if it truly happened and everything, like I think stuff like that is when you talk about like especially things like sexual assault or trauma like that. I hate when stuff like that gets out into like that kind of a public of a platform and stuff. And I feel like if it was that serious that you told somebody in a position that could tell the rest of the world, that you probably should have went to the police or gotten some kind of retribution for it.
She had signed a contract supposedly she had signed the contract as soon as she entered the door, and then they did some crazy shit.
Really?
But I know Adam.
So then she's at fault for a breach of contract, then, right?
I guess I don't know. They already fired her from the channel, so whatever.
Right.
But who
contracts, bro? Some terrible ass contracts, bro. Like people need to read these contracts.
But with like literally within like 2 weeks, Selena Powell was exposing Academics on the No Jumper channel, and then like a week later, she was exposing Adam on Academics channel.
Jeez.
Even though Academics exposed Selena Powell forever ago too. I don't know. Their whole thing is like, it's funny, but it's like so unnecessary. It's like, why the fuck am I watching this?
I think they ain't got enough to talk about right now, so they trying to just, be typical media people and dig up stuff to try and make a story. Like,
and Academics is like he is super corny sometimes because like you can tell he's using 6ix9ine lyrics like in his everyday like speech. He'll be like, "Oh, you want to play dumb? Well, I'm dumber." Like he said that, and I'm like, "You stole that from 6ix9ine."
But the amount of corn syrup with him, bro. Like I just like nah, man. I can't get behind that. I can't get behind that.
On that note, I guess we'll end it here. But
fucking Academics. Oh shit!
I mean, if anything happens next week, that's like exciting. I'm definitely gonna let you know.
No, I'm gonna know for sure, man. I keep my ear to the ground and everything, so like I'm gonna know some stuff coming up here in the week, and it's always good to talk to you. I love the podcast. I like. Let's keep doing this shit. Find me everywhere that music is streamed. Albert J. The albums are all on that bitch. And Gino, I'm still looking for. Send me a beat, bitch. Why didn't you send me a beat?
I've been writing. I'll give you a little preview of what I've been writing.
Word.
After this, not here. I
Word.
can't.
Word.
But yeah. Thanks for coming again.
Hell yeah. Peace to the people.
We'll see you next week.
Word.